Hello, my name is Michaela Garcia. Today I wanted to go over all of the information that I learned in the Brilliant Speaking documentary that we had to watch for the class. So today my main points are going to be basically split into what you should be doing in preparation to giving your speech, what you should be doing throughout your speech up until you say each of your main points. And then my third point today is going to be how you should be closing your speech as well as what you want your audience to take away. So to get started, I wanted to make sure that you understood that you need to be doing your research prior to doing your speech. So what this means is you want to know who your audience is, what do they already know, those kinds of things. You want to keep that in mind because that's going to affect how you're going to deliver your speech as well as like what information is going to be necessary. One of the examples that was in the video was they were saying if you're talking to a bunch of CEOs or whatever, like the information that you're going to relay is a little bit different than if you were just talking to the employees because they would know different things. Next, I wanted to go over how you need to prepare your body. So that doesn't seem like it would be something that's necessary, but when you think about it, what you're putting in your body is going to affect what you're able to put out. So when it comes to a speech and how that would apply, you need to make sure that you're drinking lots of water. One of the experts in the video that we had to watch recommends drinking at least a gallon of water the day before you give your speech. So if you know you're going to be presenting on the 15th at 5, then you want to make sure that starting the day before, preferably in the morning, you're drinking water and you're filling your body up with things that are going to hydrate you and keep you going. That also leads me to you don't want to be eating any unsettling foods. So if you're lactose intolerant, but you can sometimes get away with it, the day before your speech is not the day to be trying to do that, or the day of for that matter. The next thing I wanted to touch on is how you can use your nerves that you have to your advantage. So nerves, naturally, they're going to affect your voice and your tone and all of that thing. So use that and apply it and make it good. So one of the experts in the video, he recommended that if you're feeling nervous and anxious before you go on, something you can do is you take a second and you feel the nerves and then you smile. And then instantly all of those nerves will become excitement, which you can use to your benefit. So the next point I wanted to be going over was what you should be doing throughout your speech. So everything that I've listed previously is what you're going to be doing beforehand and how it's going to help you in those days leading up to your speech. But in your actual speech, you want to make sure that you start off on a really good track. And one way you can do this, and probably one of the most important ways, is by starting with a good hook. Because if your audience isn't engaged from the beginning, then they're going to lose interest pretty quickly. One of the experts in the video, she was saying how those first 3 to 4 minutes, I believe it was she. Anyway, she was saying in those first 3 to 4 minutes, that's like probably the most important time in your speech, assuming you have like a 30 to 40 minute speech. So I would apply that to like a speech like we're having to do where they're like 3 to 8 minutes, like those first 30 seconds to a minute. The next thing that you want to keep in mind is things that will keep your audience engaged. So depending on who your audience is, you'll be having done that research prior to giving your speech, but you'll do that in different ways. So one of the most universal ways you can do it is by using your voice. I know I already touched on that, but it is really important because your tone is going to affect like how they're perceiving the message that you're giving. Excuse me. So if you're talking real monotone and you're not really letting your voice fluctuate naturally, then you're going to sound really boring and they're not going to be interested for very long. Another really great way to keep your audience engaged is by making it personal. So one thing that they were saying that is really beneficial for this is by telling stories. We've heard stories ever since we were children and we love them. We know how they work. They're fairly simple to understand, and it's a really great way to get your point across while also having your audience participate in listening. So that leads me to how you want to be authentic. You want to be you when you're on stage. You don't want to like mask it by acting robotic and feeling stiff on stage. It's okay to be human. The audience expects that from you. With that said, they were also saying in the videos that if you make mistakes, to embrace them. And I think that goes really well with this. So my last point that I wanted to go over is how you should be closing your speech and what you want your audience to take away from your speech. So you want to begin by reiterating each of your main points. It's really important that you do this part discreetly, because that leads me to my second point about this, how you don't want to signal the end of your speech. You want your audience to be engaged all the way through up until you are finished. And so if you're signaling the end by saying, in conclusion, this and this and this are my main points, then they're not going to be listening anymore. So one of the experts, he was saying that a really great way to do this is by saying, now if you get 3 things from this speech, let them be this, this, and this. And then they're still listening to you and it sounds like part of your speech, but they know sort of, I guess, that it's closing. So on the last note, I think you need to leave your audience with something to think about. So you don't want to send them away like with their minds completely empty. You want them to hear what you've said today and actually have learned from it. So it is recommended that you are supposed to leave them with something memorable. So like a statement or a quote or even a really short story, something that they're going to keep thinking about even after the speech is over. All right, so to end my speech, I wanted to go over my main points again, which is what you should be doing in preparation for your speech, what you need to be doing throughout your speech, as well as closing your speech and making sure your audience has some sort of a takeaway. Thank you.